name this time. I won't.
Shall we do this again?
Yeah, just do what you were doing before.
Okay. Go ahead and start.
Three, two.
Hello, everyone out there on the YouTubes. Welcome back to Uptime Productions. My name is Adam, and I'm here with my good friend Dominic.
Hello.
Today, we're back for the first time in a while.
It's been about a year. Prison will do that.
Almost a year. Oh man. Well, well, we're glad to be back. We hope you guys are happy we're back as well. Today, we're doing another versus episode, like our Marvel and DC versus DC. But we're starting to move away a little bit from the Marvel versus DC specifically, and we're going to start doing some other shows and games and other just kind of mixing and matching different types of things. And today we've got a little gem for you guys. Dominic?
This is a revolutionary thing we're doing here. We're taking two characters from the same series and pitting them against each other.
That's right. If you haven't watched the beautiful show that is American Horror Story, definitely a recommended watch. Definitely something that you should go watch before watching, or rather listening to this, because, spoiler warning, we are going to be talking about the entirety of their lives, to their deaths, and even further beyond.
Yes.
Thanks for agreeing, Dom.
You're welcome.
In any case, those thumbs up and thumbs down buttons are there for a reason. So if you do like the kind of change from just Marvel versus DC characters, give us a thumbs up to let us know. And obviously, if you just hate our guts for even attempting to do something different on YouTube, then yeah, just hit the dislike button, I guess.
And maybe we will listen.
Maybe we probably will. Anyway, so yeah, today we're gonna be pinning the most loved rather characters, well, antagonists from American Horror Story that I could comprehend, and those two being James Patrick March
And Dandy Mott.
Yes, indeed. The antagonist of Freak Show and the antagonist of Hotel, respectively. Yeah. So,
Well,
yeah, go ahead.
continue.
Oh, I was just going to say, before we get started, if you haven't watched the show at all, first of all, shame on you. It's a great show.
It is.
But secondly, if you don't have time to sit down for... How long did we sit down for to watch this whole thing?
To watch all the seasons. Well,
Yeah.
each episode's about an hour, and
Right.
there's 13 episodes to 11 to 13 in
Right.
that season.
Right, so if you don't have roughly a month to just binge watch the entirety of American Horror Story, watching just season Hotel, is it 4 and 5? I thought it was 4 and
Yeah.
6.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, so watching seasons...
Freak Show and Hotel.
Right, those are the names. American Horror Story Freak Show and American Horror Story Hotel will get you nice and caught up to where we are specifically, but there are going to be spoilers from the other seasons, so just be forewarned. So, but we're going to go over kind of just a generic construct of their characters and arcs and what they've done throughout the seasons. Dominic is going to start with Dandy. I'll obviously do March. And then we'll pin them together like we have with the last two episodes on our channel. So, yeah, I'll go ahead and let Dominic get started there.
Dandy Mott, he suffers from many mental illnesses, two to be exact, that I can pin down, but I'm sure there's more. The first one that we see is very evident all throughout this show, except for midway when he grows up, is Peter Pan syndrome. Now, if you don't know, Peter Pan syndrome is when you grow up and you mature into an adult. However, mentally, like inside, you're a kid still. He relies on his mother the whole show, and he
Well,
drinks from a baby
necessarily
bottle.
the whole show.
That's true, but he drinks from a baby bottle even without his mother around. His room is pink and full of horses and a weird strip of golf stretch, I would say. Really weird. He has a really big room, which I wish I had. The next illness that is very evident is his anti-personality disorder, aka being a psychopath. It is evident when we see a flashback when he was 10. He tied up a bunch of kids at his birthday party, was cutting their wrists with scissors. His mother stopped him from going too far, and she pays off the kid's parents so he doesn't get in trouble and doesn't go to an asylum, which would not be a good place to go for him.
Or would it? Somehow I think it would help a little bit.
I don't know. We've seen an asylum in this show, and it's
That's
not a
true.
nice place.
Even it's in the season that we're talking about right now.
Exactly.
Well, I guess that and the asylum season, season named asylum.
So we're gonna go over his creativity. I mean, you know what? I'm gonna change it up. We're gonna go to his kill count, then his creativity, because you can't dispose of body without a body.
All right, well, change it up on me then. Fine.
I just did. Okay. 30 is his kill count. That's by the storyline. However, we only see about 15 or 20 in the show. The most impactful one, in my opinion, is that of his mother. After taking him to a therapist, his mother decides that it's best to flee the country, or else the therapist is going to send the police after Dandy. Dandy doesn't want to go, and he cries like the baby man child he is. And he pulls out a gun and he puts it to his head. And his mom says, "Don't do that. I can't live without you." So then he does a logical thing and shoots her in the face.
That's okay. You can die without me then.
Exactly. He smiles, and after that, we see him grow up exponentially. He doesn't cry. He doesn't drink from a bottle anymore. He eats real food, not baby food. He eats more foreign food, stuff that adults would do. His first kill that we see is of his maid. His maid not grew up with him. His maid watched him grow up, and basically was his mother. But she was always very harsh. But that's because Dandy was a spoiled brat. Dandy was not a good child.
You know those kids that throw tantrums in the stores, and
That's Dandy.
You watch as their mothers just look at them and are like, "Oh, isn't that cute?"
Yes. And because of that, he grew up very spoiled. So when he killed his maid, he went to his mother, and his mother helped him cover it up, as we see a lot. He is not. Also, a serial killer would be a weird title for him. He's more of a mass murderer, because we see him go and shoot up the freak show, the carnival, killing a lot of people there. I think I counted 15 there. And then he goes to a house to frame someone from the freak show and kills about 7 wives there. He's more of a mass murderer than a serial killer.
Kind of an opportunity killer. Almost.
Opportunist, right? That's the great word for him. He's not. He doesn't plan a lot of things out. We see him lure one gay man into a truck and then kill him, which that was premeditated. Yeah. And he cooked him alive, basically putting him in acid while he's still alive. He learned to kill from Twisty the Clown, which was the beginning antagonist for like 2 episodes before Twisty died.
Well, Twisty was always dead.
Twisty, his jaw was just shot off.
Fair point.
But he's dead now, regardless. He said, and I quote, "The clown was put on this earth to show me the sweet, beautiful language of murder." And we can see, we can see after he starts murdering, his language becomes more serious. He's no longer yelling, "I hate you, I hate you, I hate you," every word to come back. He's now quippy and fast and almost like he's evolved. And his favorite catalog to read, which is important for the show, is National Geographic. His favorite article from them is one that describes an ancient tribe in South Africa that would kill all the inhabitants of a neighboring tribe and then bathe in their blood and eat them. Now, Dandy thinks that, well, I wonder if I could just get people's power from bathing in their blood. He doesn't eat anyone that we see, but he does bathe in people's blood a lot.
I like how you say that we see.
Well, Dandy is random. He's not well thought out or planned out. Creativity and disposal wise, we only see him dispose of one person, the gay guy in the truck. I'll explain later why that is. But the most creative thing he's done was when an Avon lady came to his house and he bludgeoned her to death and sewed her head on her mother's head to make a marionette with two heads. And he simply left
Yes.
that where it was. And he
If you
had
can't
a
have the
whole
real
puppet
thing,
show.
if you can't have the real thing, why?
Exactly. He falls in love with Freak, who has two heads. And she leaves him for a guy called Jimmy Darling, which he frames by killing a bunch of people in the house. His achievements and weapons, very interesting. I would say his biggest achievement was paying off all of the cops.
That's true.
No one in the show, we see no law, and people were asking, "Where's the cops?" These people are missing by tens and twenties, and like just by a whole outrageous number, and it's because he is so rich. He owns all of the frozen food industries in the United States and some overseas. He said, uh, uh, all the cops in a nearby area, so all the precincts, probably the whole. What would you call it?
Community department.
Community department is under his payroll, at least for two towns, which means no one's asking any questions. The cops just rule it as an accident or whatever they have to do. Uh, Another achievement is framing Jimmy Darling, which we've already gone over. It's not easy to frame someone, but back then, if you have the cops on your payroll, they're not gonna really look for evidence.
True. True.
Weapons consist of a 13-inch dagger, which he favors. However, his pride and joy is his solid gold, diamond-handled, 45 stub-nose revolver.
Hmm.
This is the gun that he uses to massacre all of the freaks in the freak show during the climax of the season.
True.
And man, does he love it! He pulls it out whenever he can. That was his favorite weapon.
Was it your favorite weapon?
It was my favorite weapon of his too. It matched his demeanor and his style. He was very flamboyant with his style. Being rich, he could wear whatever he wanted, and he did. He wore colors that weren't supposed to match or go together, like green and red, and it
What do you
worked.
mean green and red? Those are Christmas colors.
Those are Christmas colors, but if you wear them, it doesn't look great.
Telling Santa.
Good. Tells elves too. Sick of looking at them.
All right. Back on track.
However, the devil comes for the check, and he is killed. He marries the two-headed girl after she finds out that he massacred everyone at the freak show. She poisons his dinner and shoots him in the arm. And then he wakes up with three freaks, the three only surviving freaks. Jimmy Darling, his wife, and I forget the other one. I'm not familiar on the freaks' names. And Houdini-style glass box that fills up with water. And the goal is to try to escape. And he is chained down, obviously, right? Or else it'd be easy.
Right.
They start filling him up with water. And we see, at that final glimpse, we see his true philosophy. He believed that he was a god, an angel of death of sorts. And as he's about to die, he says, I was doing my work that I was supposed to do. God told me to do this, and which was false, but
Obviously.
his last words are "I hate you," but it's not. The way he phrases it, it's not like it was in the beginning of the season. In the beginning of the season, it was very childish and tantrum-like. But when he says it at his final deathbed, he said, "It sounds very adult. It's not like a child anymore. It's him finally evolved. But sadly, that was his death.
You make him sound like an Eevee.
I do, but it's easy to see his evolutions of how what he started at and what he ended up at. And he was only serial killing for a few weeks.
Right, just kind of over the show's the season's timeline.
Right, which was a few weeks. And it's interesting. I've always wanted to see if he could be the best murderer there was if he lived.
If he lived. Yeah, if he survived.
And that's the background on Dandy Mine. So
Right.
if you want
His
to
kind of
go,
his character structure,
hmm
his philosophy. He was sent to do God's bidding.
he
Type
believed he
idea.
was the angel of death,
Right,
basically.
right. Well, with that said, James Patrick March is just a tad different. We'll go over kind of the way that Dominic here went over, kind of creating Dandy's story arc and his character, beginning with mental illnesses. As far as those go, uh, online there's plenty of theories. There's not even any like
Hard evidence.
right. There's no hard evidence. There's no constant. He has symptoms of certain mental illnesses and disorders and things, but none of them are conclusive. And so he could just be some guy that decided to start serial murdering people.
He could just
I mean,
be
most of those people have a condition of some sort, but
right.
he was born in the like early or rather late 1800s.
Exactly.
So mental illnesses, one, weren't as profound as they are today, and two, yeah, they didn't really matter. If you kill people, it doesn't matter if you have a. It didn't matter if you have a mental illness. You were thrown in jail or killed because you killed someone else, and those were just in those times. But we can do a lot of deliberating and theorizing on what March's mental illness might be. But for now, we'll just say,
Ambiguous.
right, ambiguous, perfect. Then we go on to his kill count. Now, I know you said that Dandy killed 15 roughly, right? Or 30 roughly?
Roughly, yeah, roughly 30. Probably a little bit more, but that's what we see.
Right. So, but with that said, I think before we even get to the debating part of the video here, March has already taken the cake. As far as his story goes, he was born in the late 1800s, starting killing around 1920, and then built a hotel where his killings kind of dropped a little bit, and then for 3 years after that, they increased by almost double.
Right.
And so, looking at that portion of it alone, he's killed quite a bit. However, I do want to talk about the grand total here, because you have to remember that in this series there are instances where you don't end up just dying like Dandy did. James Patrick March lives on past his death, quote unquote, to continue killing in his ghostly form. So his end total by the end of Hotel, where he decides to stop killing to keep the hotel alive, basically, was in the early, if you will, early 3000s. So 3,100 people over the course, obviously, of quite some time from 1920 to 2015.
Now, this is just an estimate, right?
And this is just an estimate.
Higher.
On-screen kills we have about 23. We've seen 23 times, and these are both with flashbacks and like reason kills.
Right.
But he does make mention that he used to kill just about a person every day, and then doubled that during the 3 years that the hotel was built, and then like only a person a week for the time that the hotel was under construction. So putting together all of the numbers, we come to an estimated grand total of just about over 3,000 people alone. Him alone. So but that leads us into our disposal and creativity here is, well, we don't know what he did with the bodies. For the first like 5 years, he started killing people. After the hotel was built, we know that he disposed of them in two different ways. First of all, in every room, or near every room, there was some sort of chute to the bottom of the hotel where he had a dungeon for his bodies. And they
Hmm.
would sit there and rot. Or he would go down there, get one, and sell its cadaver parts to scientists during the time. And so he would get money, kind of a profit off of that. And obviously, after he died, he couldn't quite do that anymore, so now they just kind of sit down there rotting. But definitely an intriguing way to dispose of bodies,
Very
attempting to sell
intriguing.
them, sell their cadavers. But that leads us to his weapons and achievements because you kind of have to kill with a weapon. Um, and although Dandy can have kind of a constricted weapon outline, a gun and a certain knife, March used his whole hotel. Every room was equipped with something to murder people, especially room 64. And so you can't really extrapolate a certain weapon he used.
We see some
Um,
of them in the show,
we
though.
see some of them in the show, yes. I,
Most notable would be the cane knife.
yeah, that probably. I don't know. I think his most notable would probably be his black room or black not black room. What is it called now? The closet.
Black closet.
Yeah, black closet. Because even though it's not technically a weapon, he did use that to kill more people than he did using his cane knife.
Hmm.
And so I think that would probably be more of his preferred weapon outside of everything else. And then as far as achievements go, well, he survived past death as a ghost. I didn't see Dandy doing that. No offense, Dominic.
None
But
taken.
I mean, he built a hotel specifically for the purpose of murdering people. He's kept it alive for more than 85 years. And he taught like multiple other serial killers. That was kind of his pastime, his passion outside of murdering people was to teach other people how to murder people and get away with it. Like the Zodiac killer and one of his other
Jeffrey
right,
Dahmer.
Jeffrey Dahmer, his pupils. Like these were the things he did. And like, I mean, even in his life, he was just kind of cool. I mean, yeah, he killed multiple people, but like his philosophy was definitely opposite Dandy's. Dandy thought he was sent there to Earth by God to kill everybody, basically.
Yeah.
Well, March decided, you know what? Nah, nah. He didn't believe in God. I mean, his father was overly religious, which caused March to be, well, not
The wo-
religious. Really hate
not
religion.
great.
Period. And so he started killing as the Ten Commandments killer. And I mean, he even said this in the show in the flashback. He says, "Well then, I guess I'm going to have to kill God. That is my message to the world." Very opposite from what Dandy
From
thought.
Dandy said.
Right. And he went by that for the years he was alive up until he did end up killing himself before being arrested. He took one other person with him, the maid that helped him clean everything up, made sure everything was right in order, so that there would be nothing to link back to him, period, or even get the hotel closed down or anything like that at all. And
Mm.
so he goes out very spectacularly. Well, I guess kind of. He kills his maid and then he shoots himself pretty much. And
No.
well, oh, you're right. You're right.
Flip that around.
Yeah. Wait, I'm mixing it up now. Dang it, you take it away from here.
Well, okay. um, he holds out a knife and a revolver in his hand, and he said, "Pick Miss Evers," and which is the maid.
Right.
Maid picks gun, and she was gonna shoot herself because she loves March. But then she said, "Actually, sir, would you make me the last meal?" I
Right,
think
that's right.
it's very interesting verbiage, and we'll go over that later.
Right.
But she hands him the gun, and then he blows her away. Then lets us up. Then the cops barge in, and it's too late.
Right, he's killed himself. Yeah, that whole little sequence was so amazing to watch for me. I kind of forgot some of the details, because it was just really fun just watching just these two, this dedicated maid and this dedicated serial
Dedication.
killer, just kill themselves like that. But I mean, in death he was cool, and he still is cool. um, but that brings us to the ultimate question that we have to answer in these things and these episodes of ours: who did it better? Who is the better serial killer? And how do we
Determine that.
right? Do we determine it through sheer number count? Because if so, March is definitely taking that cake.
Or brutality.
Right. If that's the case, Dandy has a pretty good shot. Are we doing this over mental illness or creative disposals? How are we going to do this? And I think we need to pin them up against three things. That way we can't have a tie.
Right.
First of all, would be kill count alongside how they were disposed.
Mm-hmm.
Next would be how long their legacy was. So
Right.
and then finally their philosophy. So
And I would also I'm gonna tie in with the philosophy, the impact they had on the others,
that's a fair point. Right.
because that goes hand in hand.
Well, that would be legacy though.
Yeah, I guess.
Well, in any case, I think March does take the cake as far as his kill count and disposal. Obviously,
Obviously.
being over 3,000 people more than Dandy's, and
Dandy not disposing of
right.
them,
I was just
because
about to say
why
that.
would he?
Like you said, Dandy didn't really dispose of his bodies. He just kind of left them, or we assume he just kind of left them there for his mom to dispose of, which is boring. Versus James, or rather, yeah, James Patrick March, literally killing and then disposing, and then sometimes while he was alive profiting.
Or
From
perhaps the disposal would be the act of it.
right, so right. I mean, sometimes it would just be the murder would be disposing. so
Exactly.
so like James Patrick March obviously has that in his corner. Obviously.
Obvious.
As far as legacy goes, I think Dandy takes it from there.
I believe Dandy does take it from there. We see in Cult a magazine that a kid is reading about Twisted the Clown, which was a real character, and we see, if you, it's not explicitly said, but if you look at the pages, you can see Dandy Mott is a character in there, but as the hero,
Right.
because the cops covered all of his stuff up, even in death. And to this day, he's seen as a hero who fought against the freaks who were trying to kill him.
And another reason why I think Dandy would win as far as that goes is specifically because March doesn't necessarily have a legacy. A legacy is, after you die and you can't do anything else, what impact do you have?
Exactly.
Well, March can still do things. He still has an impact because he's a ghosty boy.
March, for all intents and purposes, is still alive.
Right. He's just not.
Which is why I like March, but that to me drives me a little off from him. Because it's not over. I want to see the ending, but he's still around.
Right. Well, I mean, in Apocalypse, they reference the ending, but it's fine. It's fine.
Right.
So
philosophies. Now this
right. This is the tiebreaker. This is the true judgment for
this
these
is where
two.
I think that these two shine the brightest.
Right. We've got two complete opposite, opposing philosophies here. So which one really takes the cake? And I think the best one should go to whoever sums it up in his own words the best.
Would you like to go first?
No, I think Dandy should go first here.
I went first in the beginning though, so you should go.
Oh, fine. The problem with me going first, Dominic, is that throughout the entirety of Hotel, March is doing nothing but discussing his philosophy. Obviously, we have his infamous death quote, right, about how he's just got to kill God in that case,
Right.
prove that there is no such thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, I mean, his entire existence is based around the idea that he there is no God, and he has basically superseded any type of deity because he not only got away scotch free but is still doing what he wants, right?
Right.
Um, and so, but with that said, he also talks about it in the show so many times and so elegantly, and it's not easy for me to find a very specific quote about
Everything he says
what
is
he
just so
right
profound.
everything he says is profound. But I think the best thing that he ever did in his quotes about his philosophy, about what he wants to keep doing, is when he's talking to the group of dead people at the hotel, when he's laying down the law, when he's talking about how if they tear down if the construction workers tear down the hotel, then they cease to exist, and he has to stop killing, but he has to stop killing to save it. When he's yelling at him, and so yeah, so he basically says, quote, enough. This is not a democracy. We are not in the House of Lords. We are a ship at sea, and when it comes to you spirits, I am captain. So listen up, mateys. There are 6 criteria that the U.S. Department of Interior uses to determine if a place is worthy of being called an historical landmark. This hotel fits them all. The one thing it does not yet possess is time. Age, August 23rd, 2026. That will make it 100 years that this hotel has stood, and on that day it will earn its rightful distinction as a historical landmark. They won't be able to tear it down even if they wanted to. The killing must stop. That's the part that I want to talk about a little bit here. He's willing
Right.
to stop killing so he can keep killing.
It's very interesting because a lot of people with mental illness and that lead to life of crime have a hard time stopping.
Right,
But he almost stops on a dime.
right. He stops for at the time that this is recorded. 2015 was when the show was recorded. So, I mean, he's willing to stop for more than 20 years.
Right.
Well, I guess a little less, but it's so. But that's the most profound thing I've ever heard him say about his particular philosophy. He thinks he's superior, and he's superior enough to stop doing what he's superior at, so he can continue doing it later on.
Right. I think Dandy's quote speaks more to how he views himself
Right.
and his philosophy. Uh, the choke, the quote I chose was, "Look at his body; it's fierce, fast, and strong. My arms will hold them down. My legs will chase them down. I am God."
Mm-hmm.
And we see that he thinks God is control. So when he can control someone's life, he is God, and that's his opinion.
Mm-hmm.
And we can see um, he never wavers on that. A lot of people's philosophy, especially nowadays, waver from thing to thing or situation to situation, but he always views himself higher than everyone else.
Yeah, he's rich.
And
Of course he did.
exactly, and we can see that he even takes joy. I didn't add this, but he even takes joy in getting other people to admit that he's better and serve him. He pays uh, so the daughter of the maid that he killed found out what happened. She called the cop. The cops came, and he said, "I'll give you $1 million to serve me. All you got to do is shoot her." And what does the cop do?
Bang.
Exactly. No questions asked. And that's when we see him smile, because that's when he knows, and so is everyone else in that room, that he is in charge. He is God of Jupiter, Florida, where this takes place.
Yep. Yep.
But I will say it's hard to pin these two together because one, their philosophies are contradicting, which is great fun, but their lives are very similar. They both fall in love with women who they shouldn't have.
Mm-hmm.
They're both very exponentially richer than everyone else.
Mm-hmm.
They both get extremely bored extremely easily.
This is also true.
The only two differences I can see is their philosophy and their lifestyle. Danny lives his
Well,
lifestyle very fluid. He
th-
doesn't make plans.
this is true.
March is all about plans.
This is true. Well, I think what it comes down to is probably their legacy in these quotes in what they in their philosophy, right?
Mm-hmm.
Here's the problem with Dandy. He thinks he is the best. He is God, meaning there can be no one like him.
Right.
March, on the other hand, thinks he's superior, yes, but as we see, when he addresses his assembled serial killers on Devil's Night, that he doesn't care. He will gladly mentor other people. In fact, he says, quote, "Thank you all for being here on Devil's Night, but it is I who should be the one celebrating you. I look around and I see the definition of American success. They wrote books about you, make movies of your life. Years after your death, people continue to be enthralled. You've made your mark in history. Like the Iliad, your stories will live on forever." End quote. People he's mentored. And because and is basically just long lived the legacy of death that he and him, and as far as the show goes, Dandy and Mr. Montgomery and all these other older storyline people have created.
Exactly. And another thing to know is, March also says he sees all of his students as his equal.
True.
Which is very rare for someone of his apparent mental state to say, but he does, which leads us to believe he doesn't have one. But I think
right, another problem with looking at the mental illness.
You can't compete with someone like he's in his own class.
True. I mean, he literally asked Satan himself if he can have a pet demon, and Satan was like, "Sure."
Yeah, and we see that March meets the Antichrist, and the Antichrist, I don't know if you saw it, you caught on to it when we watched it, but he not saluted, but he bowed his head in the presence of March.
He did. I did notice that.
Because March has renown all over it.
Mm-hmm. For those of you who have seen American Horror Story and are wondering what we're talking about, go watch season 8.
Season 8 has the Antichrist, and the Antichrist goes to the hotel where he sees March and
yeah, sure. Just spoil everything for them.
Well, I'm just gonna, cause come on, he's playing cards. I'm sorry, the Antichrist, and bows his head, and then continues on to talk to the lady that he's playing cards with.
Yes, indeed, he does.
I know this is off topic, but this kind of reminds me of Infinity War a bit.
What? Wait, whoa, a little bit off topic.
It's a little out left field, but remember when Thanos was choking Loki, and Loki said, "You'll never be a god," but then Thanos just choked him?
Yeah.
That's what this is. Dandy thinks he can be the only one who can be God. March doesn't care, would kill him anyway, and then discard him. Because, like, Thanos is a Titan, and Titans kill gods in Greek mythology.
Right.
And that's what March believes. You should kill God.
Right. I didn't think about that, but I mean, you got a good point.
But I think that's it. I think we can declare a winner.
Yes. Would you like to do the honors?
The winner is James Patrick
Thanos.
March.
No. No. James Patrick March definitely takes the cake, though it is by an increment of being a little bit better at what he does in the show.
Perhaps if Dandy were to live on His
Right. Right.
fully
If Dandy
evolved.
was a ghost, maybe, perhaps we would have a different thing on our hand. But March definitely had the high ground, so to speak, with more time on his hands to do the
Exactly.
killings.
We want to thank you guys for listening.
Yes.
Do we want to tell them what next week's is gonna be?
Well, we'll give you, I would say a hint, but we don't even have it really thought up other than what we're going to be doing.
Well, we have
Yes.
the two
Yeah,
characters.
fair point. Next week is going to be definitely fun. We're going to try to stay away from the Marvel versus DC for a minute. Next week we're going to be doing SCP-610 versus the Flood.
The flesh that hates versus the.
Yes. Well, everyone knows that SCPs don't go by their actual name.
Well, I know, but I prefer the flesh that hates because it brings these two together.
Yeah, maybe.
But we'll discuss that next.
We will discuss that next week. Hopefully you guys enjoy, and hopefully we actually stay on target. We will be uploading, or I will, or Dominic will be uploading an update video if we end up not being able to get one out next week. Just to let you guys know what's going on, so you're not confused, or as confused as to where we disappeared to for a year.
If comments, I read all the comments. So does Adam.
Yes.
If you guys disagree with us, let us know why.
Yes. Or not even just why. Just let us know. It'd be a fun topic to continue talking about. These are not necessarily debates with judges outside of you guys. So if you guys disagree, just post in the comment a reason why. And,
Suggestions are also for two characters.
right?
We'll look into it.
Yes. Put down in the comment suggestions for a versus matchup. Also suggestions for other shows we can put on the channel just outside of versus, so we have something more to do. But
Separate from each other.
right,
Almost.
so right, almost separate from each other, almost nearly. But yeah, guys, subscribe definitely if you do enjoy some of the content. I know we only have literally, by the time this goes up, 3 episodes.
Hey, that's one more than we had yesterday.
That is one more than we had yesterday. That is true. But do subscribe. We're going to try to get these out every week, and if not, definitely every 2 weeks. But yeah, I hope you guys have a great rest of the week. We will see you next time. Any final words, Dom?
Let's have fun. This is a fun thing. I want you guys to get in on this too. If you guys have suggestions of other content you want us to release, or just adding,
or since we'll be giving away what we're going to be what we're thinking about doing for the next week, just kind of topic suggestions. Things that we want to, things that you want us to talk about, and the differences between the things we're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
So, but with that said, we will see you guys next week.